Very commonly in sales, people think that extroverts are the be-all, end-all of sales success. They think that people that are naturally gregarious and social and love being around other people generally make the best salespeople. Now that's actually a very common error. Why that is a bit like skiing versus snowboarding. You see, learning to ski is really easy at the start, but to become really, really good at skiing, it can be very, very difficult. It's easier to learn, harder to master. Snowboarding is quite the opposite. Snowboarding is much more difficult when you first start to get pretty good. But once you're pretty good, it's easy to become very good. Not necessarily world level, and I don't want to discredit you snowboarders out there, but generally speaking, that's the paradigm. Well, selling can be quite similar. You see, extroverts are generally very good up front. It's because we naturally know how to build rapport. We naturally know how to command attention. We naturally know how to dominate an interaction because simply we just can't be shut up. But the introverts actually have a secret weapon that most of the extroverts really have to learn and develop later in their game in order to be great. Listening. Introverts are generally much better listeners. So having that as a natural skill is something that's really, really powerful in terms of how you can convert customers into sales. Now again, extroverts, don't stress. It is something you can learn. Just pay attention. I know it's not something you like to do, but you've already bought the course. You may as well listen, right? So what specifically do I mean? Well, it's going to come in two forms. So number one, you're going to do what I call reading the Miranda rights. We'll cover this in detail in the next video. The next thing that we're going to cover, as far as information gathering and really listening to customers, is how to create leverage based on what they've said. So if you can demonstrate these two skills and show that you're a really good listener, not only will customers like you more and want to do business with you more, because who doesn't like a good listener, right? But you'll also be able to leverage the things that they've said in order to make your sale conversion much more likely. Buckle up, this is going to be a good one. The first part of information gathering that we're going to cover, I actually learned from the best introverted salesperson I've ever met. My good friend Brad owns one of the top growing solar companies in the whole of the state of Queensland in Australia. He is one of the most mysterious people I've ever met. I've been friends with him for about 7 years now, and only about last year I actually knew that we're friends. I didn't know that he liked me. He just does not show anything. But he's always calculating, and you can tell when you're saying things that everything's registering and churning through some sort of system. It's quite intimidating sometimes. But he taught me this skill that I've since been able to apply into my businesses and increase my own sales likelihood and conversion for my staff. He calls it ammo stacking or stacking ammunition, but I call it reading someone's Miranda rights. Why is that? Well, if you've ever seen the show Cops, people get arrested. What's the first thing that the officer tells them as they're getting handcuffed and taken away? You have the right to remain silent, sure, but the second one's a real kicker. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. These are your Miranda rights. Well, you want to be able to do the exact same thing when you're dealing with customers. They're going to give you pieces of information. They're going to show their implications. They're going to show their meanings and things that you're actually going to be able to hold them to the things that they've said. So they may say something like, well, you know, I really want to address this problem. And as the sale progresses, they may say something that diverts from the sale. They may say, oh, look, we have been shopping around and, you know, whatever. But you, as someone who's listened actively and really stacked that ammo, you can then say, yeah, okay, well, look, remember earlier you said that you really want to solve this problem. All right, well, I've got a solution for this problem that we can handle right away. Is this still something you're interested in? People love to stay congruent with who they say they are. People don't like to be proven that they've been hypocritical or gone against something that they've said. So it's really, really powerful, the kind of information that you can gather here. So the questions that you ask also really matter. So being able to ask things like, so what are your intentions with this program? Or what do you think your biggest needs are with what we're trying to accomplish today? Or are you the primary decision maker here? Are you in charge? Are you wearing the pants? Well, if somebody hypothetically was to hit you with a partner objection later on and said, okay, well, I remember we were talking before, you said that you were the one that wore the pants. Is that still the case? It's a little bit cheeky, but they're going to stay congruent with what they've said because that's how people operate. So being able to stack that ammunition, as Brad calls it, or as I say, read someone's Miranda rights, understand that the things that they say can and will be used against them later in the pitch. It's a really powerful thing in qualifying that's going to help you hold customers to the line of sale and make sure that you can close them accordingly. The second part of information gathering is understanding the concept of leverage. People, in order to do anything, need a certain amount of leverage in order to do that. Well, what do I mean by leverage? Leverage means they're running towards something or running away from something. So they're either going to be running toward some form of perceived pleasure, or they're going to be running away from some sort of perceived pain. Well, when we're information gathering, we want to be able to leverage both of these, not just one. So when we're information gathering, we want to make sure that we're looking for things in both categories, because they can be employed in tandem to completely multiply the impact of the leverage that you're going to have. If you can create pain of not purchasing and pleasure of purchasing, and do so with a sense of urgency, you can combine those to create unlimited leverage. That's the secret to helping people make decisions. So when you're looking at creating leverage, it might be something like, hey, if you invest in this now, you will make X amount of returns. And if you don't invest in this now, you will be missing out on this opportunity, and you'll be that person who could have invested in it when the time was good. This is just an example. So understanding the power of creating leverage, it's really, really great in sales in general, but also when you're information gathering. You're looking for what are the types of pleasure or things that they would actually want. The other really good question to ask is, what are the things that they don't want? Specifically, what are they afraid of happening? If you can uncover their fears, the things that they don't want, their pain points, as well as uncovering their goals and their big picture and the things that you really want to, that they really want to see themselves achieve, you can combine both of those and frame them within the solution of your product or service to make someone drastically more likely to buy. Understand the concept of leverage, and when you're information gathering, make sure you're looking for things that they will find pleasure in and things that they'll find pain in, and use those to create that leverage.